And we're back with the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's NBA observations and also as well pregame for the Lakers and Magic. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. I just dropped the latest episode with Joe Soro and Chris Ardieri, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, the Lakerholics crew. They're still arguing over time for this weekend, but we think it might be Saturday at 11-ish. Although, again, it's always back and forth, those guys. But see them arguing about the Lakers each and every day at Lakerholics.com. Plus, also, as well, of course, John Costas Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Empire Jeff TV covering the Dodgers and the Lakers. Lakers in 5. John McCalian Channel. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, Legend 350. Give him a big shout out. Also, as well, support him. And Stone Hansen. I think we're going to be hungry for some lunch tomorrow. So it's a new show we're going to try and do called Lunch with Stone Hansen tomorrow at noon, right here on the Lakers Fast Break. Follow him today at report_court on Twitter. And speaking of liking and subscribing, please like and subscribe. We're almost to 2,000 subscribers. We're still about 90 away, but still, we're close. We're getting in there. Almost to the magic 2,000 mark, and you can make it happen by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to know when we're coming up with you right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And last but certainly not least, go ahead and make sure you join up with a membership today, where I put in as far as emojis, badges. I got to make a Alfred emoji. I found a John Costa emoji. Got to make an Alfred. I'm going to make an Alfred emoji. I'm going to make that. That's one of my next goals. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So please go ahead and become a member today by going ahead and stopping by, getting a membership for just $2.99 a month. I put in videos, some of the videos that I put up there, we won't be showing anywhere else for a little while. Or go ahead and check out some articles, reviews, and more right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, it is NBA observations, and we're previewing tonight's Lakers Magic game coming up at 7:30 tonight. Wanted to give everybody a heads up. Rui Hachimura is out for today's game still, but the conversation in regards to when he will be coming back, will it be him or will it be Dalton Connect? Everybody's favorite player now, especially ESPN, if you heard them for the last 24 to 48 hours, a player who I've been high on and been singing the praises of now for weeks ahead of all of you. But here today to go ahead and talk about what's going on with the Lakers and Magic is a good man indeed. He is part of the world baseball covering that he does for his news outlets, and also, of course, Alfred Ezman on Twitter. It is, of course, Alfred Ezman. Alfred, great to have you here. Getting off the pitcher's mound for a minute, getting out of the batter's box, maybe applying a little bit more resin or maybe a little bit more stickum, depending on who you talk to these days. You're stepping back onto the basketball court. You are a guy that covered extensively the Orlando Magic. So let's cover and talk about tonight's game before we talk about the league, what's going on there. Your thoughts on tonight's Lakers Magic game, starting with the Mission 24 said, can you think of a Laker rookie month that is more exciting than Dalton's? That's a good question. No, not too many off the top of my head. But remember, at the start of this month, he was getting barely nothing, barely scraps. But in the past 4 games, he has lit up the world like I knew he could. Alfred?
Yeah, he certainly is. 37 points in this most recent game. Yeah, highly, highly impressive. He's quickly working his way back up the rookie ladder, so to speak. I've been keeping track, of course, names like Jared McCain are up there as well. But he's, nipping at the heels of some of those guys, and he's been one of the more impressive dudes in the class. I did see Stone Hansen's tweet. I'm sure some of you watching, Gerald, I know you saw it, if you guys saw it today, about him getting into the starting lineup. I think at this point, that seems very reasonable to do, and that's putting it kindly. The way he's performing has been incredible. I think he's a guy you can trust to be out there with the likes of LeBron and AD and the rest of the starting group. And, I understand it kind of shifts how your bench feels, but look at it this way. The suspect to replace would be Rui Hachimura, who's a great option off the bench if you decide to put him in that light too, especially coming off an injury like he is. So very happy with what I've seen from Dalton Connect. The offense has just been great. Again, Gerald and I were joking before I came on. I saw this in college with him. It was one-on-one ISO basketball in college, and he would just take over these games. And he took over the last game. So it's hopefully this can continue. Again, I don't expect him to do 37 points every night. I'm sure no one does, but you could see plenty of good scoring nights out of Dalton Connect going forward. And that's only going to help the Lakers, who are sitting pretty right now in the Western Conference here in the early stretch of the season.
Once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Please follow him today, Alfred Ezman, on Twitter. Alfred, so the question is out there. Of course, Jeff has said himself that he, like me, saw this coming a mile away in regards to Dalton Connect, because he has the one thing I saw during the preseason. One thing I saw that he could do that very few of the Lakers have is that explosiveness. If you get him into a rhythm, if you get him comfortable out there, if you feed him the ball on a regular basis, you will be rewarded more times than not with an accurate three-point shooter, a gunner, a guy who's not afraid to shoot. We're not talking about Max Christie or Gabe Vincent or Jared Vanderbilt or any of the guys, 8 through 15, who are reluctant to shoot the basketball. We got a guy who wakes up out of bed and probably shoots a basketball in his trash or throws a sock in the hamper or something from 15 feet, 30 feet out. He likes to shoot the basketball. It is clear that he has that ability to be explosive. Am I expecting 37 points? No. Am I expecting 46% shooting from behind the arc to stay at that level for an entire season? No. But if he keeps right around 40%, he brings a new element that you have to play. And JJ's comment said that he'll most likely go back to the bench once Rui returns, and that the coaches and the coaching staff will have to find more minutes for him. That's a little troubling because they tried to find some minutes before for him, and it didn't really quite work out until they gave him the opportunity to play due to injury.
Yeah, that's quite the predicament and pickle. And I like what you said before you came on, Gerald, not to steal your thunder, but JJ Redick has had experience in the league of being that veteran, that wants to get that time on the floor. And so I think that might be like I guess you kind of hinted at it, but that kind of might be, where his mentality is with that. But I think it's hard to do that based off what you've seen from him. And I mean, it's just like what you and I have been saying here for the first 8 minutes we've been on. He's shown that, he's a guy that you can look to score, pretty regularly if you want to on certain possessions. And if he gets going, it's hard to stop. And it's taken the sporting world by storm, as of recent. Everyone's been all over it. And I'm sure, teams like the Magic tonight are going to have his name circled. They better have his name circled heading into this game as far as their defense goes. And I think that's going to be, I think the way to go about it is to start him. And for at least the time being, if you feel like, and it's early enough where, not even to Thanksgiving yet, if you feel like that's not working, if you're JJ Redick, you could switch Rui back in and have Dalton come off the bench, be one of the first guys off the bench, and that'll work just as well. So it's just, you have time to finagle with it. Again, the Lakers are high up in the Western Conference right now. As far as standings goes, they have time to maneuver around it, but it's tough. I think it's something you should try, at least at this point in the season. You're not in January or February or March down the stretch here where you really need to lock in more, so to speak. So I think you have time to do it, and it's perfect that this is happening in November. So I think that plays a huge factor into it, and that's what that's how I think JJ Redick should really go about it.
Once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Please go ahead and follow him today on Twitter at Alfred Ezman, right there for you. Alfred, tonight's matchup is against the Magic. Magic are coming off of a close loss at the Toilet Bowl, aka the Intuit Dome. It's a nice looking arena, but he was so proud of his toilets. I gotta have a toilet bowl thing. It's got to stick. But be that as it may, they are coming off of a close loss last night, so they are playing on the second game of back-to-back against the Lakers. So the Lakers should, in theory, have an advantage. But when it comes right down to it, Alfred, the team, Orlando, yes, they did fall down to fourth place with that loss. But I still think Jamal Mosley is one of the better coaches in this league. I actually, if you remember my predictions, I predicted him for Coach of the Year, is what I predicted him, because I see in him a lot of good things. The one thing he's been able to do, and this is something you and I have talked about since last season, is he's been able to coach a team that is at times, being nice here, inept on the offensive end by providing a stellar defense. And they're doing it even without, even without Paulo Banchero, and still a myriad of Orlando Magic players that are really struggling from behind the arc or offensively as a whole, and also Wendell Carter Jr. as well. Who's out of the lineup. They are still finding ways for the most part to win at 9-7 with a defense that right now is in the top 5 in the NBA.
Yeah, inept on offense is a very good term, Gerald, because they are last in the NBA in three-point shooting, dead last at 30% as a team.
I think you and I could go on there and improve the numbers for Orlando.
Yes, and it's brutal because a lot of these shots are wide open threes and they need to be hit. That's going to be a big key tonight, is how they're able to do that. And it's really been quite tragic because you haven't seen it doesn't all fall on these two players, but a lot of what you look for three-point shooting comes from these two players. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Gary Harris have not been good shooting the three so far this year. In fact, KCP is having one of the worst years of his career thus far, a long career in three-point shooting. And it's especially, concerning to see, considering he was a 40% three-point shooter when he was winning NBA championships. Or 40.
And you signed him to a 3-year contract, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yes. So, hopefully that turns around. And in fact, KCP will not be playing tonight. He is out for personal reasons. But I think you're going to have to find it from other players, whether that be Anthony Black. He's been getting a huge workload while Paulo Banchero has been injured. Tristan Da Silva is getting the start tonight, our rookie, so we'll have a rookie-on-rookie battle with him and Dalton Connect. We'll have to see how that goes. You kind of got to look to those guys to shoot the three well, and that's really what you need to do. I mean, this Magic team, prior to the loss to the Clippers, they held the past 6 opponents to under 100 points in games. It was just wicked impressive defense, and that was a 6-0 win streak that ended. And now the Lakers, I think, have the longest winning streak right now in the NBA at 6 games. So the Magic and Lakers just switched off, in that regard and stuff. But you really kind of like to come out of here if you're Orlando with a win, because like Joe Soros says about the Lakers going to the Southeast to play, this is sort of the Magic's triangle of death. You know what I mean? The Phoenix, Phoenix and then 2 LA games back to back. It's sort of, very taxing, and you kind of would have liked to get a win in the Intuit Dome last night, but the Clippers have been playing well in that building as of late. So, that was a tough loss to take, but you kind of want to come out here and give it your all against this Lakers team, and you kind of want to go back to Orlando with a 2-1 record, on this West Coast mini road trip they have that was really tough. And again, they have to do it without Paulo Banchero, and they've been doing well without Paulo Banchero. Where you just kind of got to see them. You kind of hope to see them put the 3-point shooting together tonight, because that's really been the dirty stain on the t-shirt of this team so far this season.
The one player that has stepped up, I was hoping it would be Jalen Suggs, but the one player that has stepped up is the guy that needed to the most on your team, Franz Wagner, who signed a massive extension, and people were really questioning that with his extremely poor performance in the playoffs against Cleveland in that final game, especially as far as him, his shot totally went south in that game. He is coming back. In fact, he started off the season struggling, but wouldn't you know, when Paulo Banchero went out, the one thing that has happened on their offense is that he has stepped up. That's been the most impressive thing I've seen about this team. Not just the fact that they play defense. That's something that you and I have just pretty much, they're young, long, athletic. That's a given. We've always talked about their defense, but seeing Franz Wagner actually taking a step forward has been delightful to see.
Yeah, it has. He's a borderline all-star, if not in the all-star conversation completely after what he's put on. It's been a great stretch of games for him. He's really been the go-to look on offense. That's something I think JJ Redick has to circle heading into this matchup tonight is you kind of got to take Franz Wagner out of the equation a little bit. And the Clippers, I watched that game last night. They guarded him hard, very hard last night, and he had to earn his points. And it's something the Lakers will have to emulate a little. Not that you guys have to emulate everything from the Clippers. Don't worry. Just, that portion of what they did last night. So I think that's going to be key. And I think if he can have a big game, you kind of expect 20 points from him, at least while Paolo's out. But if you can have a bigger game than that, maybe get in the 30-point range, I think Orlando puts themselves in a chance to really win this game. And that he's going to be a key to them winning tonight. And again, yeah, like you said, he's been incredible. I mean, over the stretch of games, I know he was averaging near 28 points a game during their 6-game winning streak they had. So if he can continue that tonight, there's going to be some good things for the Magic you'll see later on this evening.
Adam says Gabe and a first for Mo Wagner. We had Mo Wagner. Gave up on Mo Wagner.
We took him out. We got him out of the trash, and he's been a very good bench player. So, yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really funny. It's another guy too. I mean, it's just a valuable bench piece for us who's had to step up, and he stepped up too. So, sorry guys, we had to kind of swoop in and take that.
That is not as bad as the trade offer that someone had up last night, Adam. But that one. What the Magic's GM? Who is the Magic GM? Again,
Jeff Weltman.
Yes, he would hang up the phone faster than you could say Jeff Weltman if you tried to offer him that one. Remember, Gabe has another year on his contract for a guy that's averaging 3 points a game for us this season. Yeah, that's really not exactly the most desirable thing. The first for Mo Wagner. Okay. All right. Well, I see how it is. But once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Please go ahead and support him today on Twitter at Alfred Ezman. I still remember the trade last night. I don't know if you saw it. It was like, was it D'Lo, JHS, and Gabe? Or it was Gabe, JHS. Yeah, it was just some combination that would just make you roll your eyes for Grant in Portland. So yeah, it was just really kind of funny on that. But yeah, again, you guys all come up to these. I think you've been going to the well of Laker Tom way too often on your trades. That's all I say. But it is the Lakers fast break. Want to go ahead and get into a little bit more of tonight's game with the Lakers and the Magic. I want to go ahead and ask you this: the Lakers gotten off to a great start, much better than most people have anticipated. Obviously, much better than you saw all of our panelists. None of us had the Lakers above 6, although miraculously Laker Tom still had them in 6, but somehow managing to win the NBA championship. Okay, go figure. But needless to say, nobody on our panelists had this kind of good start in mind for the Lakers. How have they been able to get it done, in your opinion? Is it just all schedule? Is it just all luck of the draw? Or is it something just a little bit more?
Well, I think it may play into schedule, but at the same time, I don't think that's a critical point. It's just kind of the luck of the draw you get, and they've taken advantage of it like you should. But the other thing too, I don't know if this is still a topic of conversation for the Lakers, but I'll harp on their 3-point shooting. It's something I know when I first came on, that was a problem for the team. And this year it's been great. I mean, I have them right now 11th in the NBA in 3-point shooting as a team. That's been something, it's a mark that they've been able to hit well. I think despite, Anthony Davis going through his, injury woes, or like in quotes, injury woes, he's been able to put together a great season, and you've kind of been able to depend on him a little bit. I think you have to take advantage early. It can only help you. You see teams like the Cavs doing it. The Cavs are doing it on an extreme level, but they're kind of doing the same thing. And I think the Lakers are a part of that. So maybe it's the schedule, like people say. But again, I mean, I don't think that's a critical thing to say. I think it's just how the schedule ended up, and the Lakers have taken advantage of it like they needed to. And again, I think the improved shooting has helped, and then Anthony Davis, the season he's having, has really just helped in general as well. So if that continues, I mean, the Lakers can really start to consider themselves as a not play-in, like a locked-in playoff team 1 through 6, which would be ideal for them, in any stretch, considering what happened last year.
Autism Boy is asking us, can JJ Redick lead this Lakers team to the playoffs? That's definitely, obviously, getting off to a good start has really, it helps your chances. Take a look at Cleveland. I mean, through the first quarter, almost quarter of the season, they're going to be primed to, whether any injuries or anything of that nature, because they start off to such a good record compared to the rest of the Eastern Conference. The Lakers, they still have to go out and win quite a bit of their games, but getting off to this start 10-4, Alfred, obviously puts them in a much better position, puts them in a much better mindset. I am still worried, as I've told our audience, that they are still one Anthony Davis injury away, or even a LeBron James injury away from it all derailing like an apple cart, or like a derailing off the tracks, like a train disaster. So I'm hopeful that will not happen. The statistics on the number of games that they play on an average kind of bear out that I should be concerned, but they were healthy last year. They looked good during the summer. They got their exercise in Paris, and they look good once again. True, LeBron is still doing his things on defense that still disappoint, but he is 40. And on the offensive end, his efficiency has been very good.
Yeah, it has been, and it's translated to. I mean, the Lakers are scoring really well. They're 6th in the NBA in scoring too, at 117 points a game. They're up there with some of the other great teams that have been good at scoring. Cleveland, obviously, you got Boston up there, Golden State as well, who's had a wicked start to the season, just as much as the Lakers have had. I think you've just seen great things out of LeBron and AD. Like you've needed to. Obviously, if you don't get what you need from those two guys, you're not going to win. And you've gotten what you've needed from those two guys for the most part. And you're seeing support pieces like Dalton Connect we've talked about kind of just come in and take the league by storm. And that only helps. I mean, that's just something that I think a lot of people didn't expect on this level to happen. And it's happened. And here come the Lakers, sitting pretty in the Western Conference. And like you said, if the early starts like this only help. I know people will say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's November, and that's true in its own light, but at the same time, you need it. And the Lakers have taken advantage of it, and hopefully it continues, you know what I mean? And, the injury thing is worrisome, but you kind of got to cross it when you get to it. I mean, take it from the Orlando Magic, it's happened to them that, hopefully they'll see Paolo Banchero back by Christmas, like he said on ESPN, but they have to make do without it. And if you get to that point, you get to that point. So that's the main thing. And hopefully you won't see that. But again, you've gotten what you've needed to from your two big time players in LeBron and AD, and you're getting the support you need from guys like Dalton Connect. So if you have those two things going for you, it will only work out well. And yeah, like I said, hopefully that just continues.
Big shout out to all of our Facebook viewers watching right now. Truly appreciate it. Salamat if you're in the Philippines, because I know we have a lot of awesome Filipinos watching out there. Pinoy Power. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Alfred Ezman along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. So tonight, if you join us, playback.tv/ Lakers Fast Break, I will have it turned on. I will be on the road and be back as soon as I can. We'll try to make sure we got the VIPs updated, so if you can watch what I watch during the game, but that is at playback.tv/ Lakers Fast Break. And then Alfred, he sounds like it. He sounds like he may do it. He sounds like he may work the midnight hour and do the post game with Joe and I.
Yeah, I would love to hop on and do the post game. I got to get some baseball stuff done, but I'll be right back with you guys, I think, if you guys want me to for the post game.
Hell yeah, my friend. Absolutely. Okay, people say, oh, you don't invite this person. No, the invites go out. It's up to them to click on it and come on the show. So be like, oh, you didn't do what Joe was another Joe. No, Joe got the invites. it's up to him to always click on it. But he'll be here tonight. Hopefully John Costa as well, and hopefully Alfred Ezman as well after the game, win or lose, right here on the Lakers post game. We'll be talking about that and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then Joe will probably have a nightcap after that, everyone out there as well. But before we head on out, it's 6:26, so hopefully we can get a little bit more talk in on the NBA, because I've been meaning to talk to you about the disaster going on in Philadelphia. And you know what? Again, thank you so much for liking the video right there on Facebook. Want to ask you this though, Alfred, the disaster going on in Philadelphia with the Sixers, team meetings, Maxey calling out Embiid, even when they do play, they had the fabulous three together for all of what, a quarter? I think.
Yeah.
When did George go down? Yeah. And now he's out for the next few games with that bone bruise in his knee. And speaking of bone bruises in his knee, I don't know what's up with the knees on Joel Embiid, but man, he looks rough, looks out of shape. He's always checking his knee. Looks like he's one step away from going to the hospital. He still scored 30 last night, but still that hasn't been enough for Philadelphia so far this season, Alfred.
No, and like you said, I think it's a combination of this big three not being with each other. It's really affected, how they play and stuff. And they've dug themselves a deep hole. They have not taken advantage of a good early season. They have been really bad in the early season, as bad as bottom of the Eastern Conference. And it's so concerning because, like you said, I think the worst part about it, when the stuff came out about Maxey calling out Embiid, I think everyone started to say, oh, there's something really wrong, quite wrong, with this team and how it's being run and stuff. And it's a nightmare. And I think, I saw stuff today about Embiid and, how he is in the locker room at times. I won't, question too much about it because he is a great player. But you're going to have to have him on the floor. And if this injury is bothering him, it's hard to say that his 30-point outings are going to be enough to carry this team to where they need to be. You need to find that out of other players. Now, Jared McCain has been great. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him. But I think if you're going to Jared McCain too much, there's also a problem there. You really, the answer is, and as hard as this sounds, you need that big three back. You need that big three back, and you need them to be healthy for a very extended period of time. You can't have injuries derail you anymore. I think that's out of the window. You're going to have to get them back as soon as possible if you want to turn this thing around. And yeah, that's really it. I think you just got to see them together, at some point for a week-on-week stretch, and you haven't seen it. So hopefully that turns around for them, because I know those fans, they're gonna want to see the team that they were promised. They were promised a team that should contend for the Eastern Conference title and get to the finals with the big three they have, quote unquote, now. And it's a big three on paper where you look at it and you're like, yeah, they can, compete with the Boston Celtics and even Cavaliers at this point to kind of win the Eastern Conference. But it's been disappointing. And when you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey, calling out Joel Embiid, a former MVP, it's really, it calls into question a lot of things that are going on there. So the biggest thing I think you need is just all three of those guys playing together for more than just a game. I won't even say more than just a quarter, because that's just so, freaking obvious. But it's, for more than a game, you need it for weeks on weeks of time. So that's what they really need. Because if not, you're going to start thinking about lottery stuff. And that's just not where this team wanted to be with the guys they have on the floor.
Once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Please go ahead and follow him today on the Twitter, whatever it is called, L/X, of course. Still think that's like a porno movie, but okay. Alfred Ezman on Twitter. My friend, we saw Cleveland lose for the first time this week. I think still that gave people the knowledge or the thought that, you know what, when Boston still puts its mind to it, they're still probably the better team in the Eastern Conference than what Cleveland can do playing at its peak powers. Much as I hate to say it, because I cannot stand the Boston Celtics, I'd have to be inclined to agree. But who else this season has stuck out to you? Obviously, Oklahoma City has had its ups and downs health-wise, but they just got Hartenstein back in the lineup, so they could be looking real good. But Golden State, Despite
Mhm.
losing DeAnthony Melton, they are leading the Western Conference right now. And Houston Rockets, man, that loss against Milwaukee is probably going to sting them for a while because even though they're in fourth place, still, those are the kind of losses that really, really don't help your cause.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the other team that stuck out to me has been the Golden State Warriors. Who said the dynasty was dead? I mean, these guys are they're rocking and rolling right now. At the top of the West, and it's been great stuff from Steph Curry. 23 points a game, 6.5 assists, nearly 2 steals a game. His defense has been solid. You've gotten what you've needed to out of him, and then you have guys like Kevon Looney rebounding real well. Draymond Green is leading them in blocks with a little over 1 a game. You're taking a lot of the guys you need to step up, and they're averaging the numbers that you need them to. You have Buddy Hield at 16.5 a game, Andrew Wiggins at 16 a game, Jonathan Kuminga a solid almost 14 a game. It's been I think you're starting to see them gel, and when they gel, you can see that they're a top 6 seed in this conference if they put their minds to it and stick to it. The West is just tough because, I mean, at some point you would think that they'd have to compete against a team like the Lakers or the Thunder, or one of these other top teams in the West right now. But I've loved what I've seen because this is a team much like what our panel Gerald said about the Lakers. I don't think anyone had Golden State that high at all. I mean,
I had them as a steady team. They had a lot of good players, a lot of depth. And those are, I always think higher of teams that have depth during the course of the season. Now, sometimes that depth goes away when you do in the playoffs because you shorten your rotation, et cetera, et cetera. But I did not have them in the top 4. I had them around a 5th or 6th place, something where,
mhm.
They're right in the mix. But yeah, this is beyond anyone's expectations. I don't even think our good friend Legend, who is a Golden State fan, even had this high up at this point in time.
No, I mean, I can't remember what mine was specifically, but I'd be shocked if I had them beyond a play-in. I think I gave them a play-in spot, but I would be shocked if I had them beyond that. So, they've been the team that's kind of blown me away so far, just because of what we've seen the past few years or so from their 2022 title. And who knows? I mean, this team could, cement themselves again as a contender this year. It would be great to see. I'm sure, and the NBA would love to see Steph Curry back in the mix at least for a little bit longer before that starts to wane out, on his career and stuff. And I'm not going to say that it's waning out. I mean, he's playing incredible, in doing what he needs to do. But they've been the team that stuck out to me the most so far. So the Warriors have been really, really impressive to me. That's been my big surprise. It would also probably be the Cavs, but I think that's been talked about enough at this point with how they've started. So yeah, the Warriors have just blown me away with how they've been able to stick at the top of the West.
Now the games get tougher for the Lakers going forward, including tonight's game against the Orlando Magic. Again, you could catch it with us if to become a VIP. I got 20 VIPs. I get them out. First come, first serve. Right there for you at playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Again, the schedule is going to get harder for the Lakers starting on tonight, and it's a Saturday against the Nuggets, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think we will get a better gauge on how good the Los Angeles Lakers are and will become. Your thoughts, though, on the Western Conference as a whole? Denver, they've been able to survive without Jokic so far. Minnesota, we thought they were like some people started putting, they put a little bit of dirt on their grave, but look at them turn around, 8-6. Phoenix, which got off to such a great start, they've seen a difference without Kevin Durant in the lineup. Memphis has been able to do it with a lot of smoke and mirrors. Same thing with the Clippers and the Kings as well. Your thoughts on the Western Conference? And don't forget Dallas, even though they're out of the picture right now, they're just one game away from getting back in.
Yeah, as a whole, I think you've kind of seen just impressive strides from the Warriors and Lakers. I had the Thunder, obviously, at the top of the West in my panel. Those were the other 2 teams I did not have up there. So I think that's been quite a surprise to see, and it just shows how deep the Western Conference is. You would think the Nuggets, once they get Jokic back, are going to put themselves in the mix just as much as those other 3 teams are. They're still sitting in 5th right now, sitting pretty. The Rockets, we kind of skipped over them after you mentioned that Milwaukee loss. they're still sitting nice in fourth with an 11-5 record. The Suns, the Suns are pretty injury battered. That was apparent when I watched the Magic play them, but they're still, right outside the 1-6 looking into it very nicely. You've seen, I think the Clippers, how they've played at home recently has been good enough to put them into a play-in picture, something I didn't expect at all. And you didn't expect, or anyone expected. I know we thought this team was going to be just a lock-in for the lottery, and they're right now, in play-in contention. So it's a lot of teams who it's a good mix of, you kind of expected it from some teams like the Thunder, and some teams that, you didn't expect them to be in the position they're in, like the Lakers and Warriors way up at the top right now. And I think that's made it really interesting. And it just shows how good this conference is. Clearly it's, way better than the East with, how top heavy the East is and stuff. And it's a good thing to see. And I think it's just going to change even more as time goes on. Cause like I said, we're not even to Thanksgiving yet. And we're already seeing this kind of mishmash of teams, being mixed around. It's a deep conference, and we're just going to see that even more going further.
Now, we talked about how good on the defensive end the Magic are, and we'll get a glimpse of that tonight in today's game against the Lakers. One of the things I've had some concerns about, besides the injury factor for the Lakers, is the fact that their defense, their transition defense, has still been one of the worst in the league, and their defense overall, they're outscoring their opponents. Yes, they are facing the opponents who are in front of them on the schedule, whether they're injured, whether they're just not that good, whether they're already tanking for Cooper Flag, whatever. They got to play whoever's in front of them in the schedule. Their defense at times, as we saw in the fourth quarter of their last game, is just not at times sparkling. I will just put it maybe as nicely as I can there, because it is really bad to watch at times on the defensive end. As also on transition defense, they just do not get back on D with LeBron, AD. They don't even have to argue. They're not even arguing as many calls as they once did, yet they're still not getting back as fast as I would like them to see them. But all that being said, the Lakers, like you said, are being so efficient on the offensive end. They're not even shooting. Well, you mentioned they're 11th right now in the NBA three-pointer. This time last year, they were still in the 20s. They actually, by the end of the year, moved all the way up to 8th in three-point efficiency. The thing is, I know JJ wants them to take more threes, and with Dalton, I think you're going to have to look into chucking up more threes. I know that a lot of people don't want us to hear that, or don't want to hear that, and don't want us to say that we need to shoot more threes. But when you have a guy like Dalton in the lineup, a Dalton playing key minutes, also as well, you have Austin now starting to find a little bit of rhythm from the outside. And of course, LeBron shooting at 44%. Even AD, get him while he's shooting the ball well now from the outside, because his career, it doesn't look good overall in his career. That's all I'll say about that one. But your thoughts on how the Lakers are right now? The defense is still of great concern, but the offense is really humming at this point. I think a lot of that credit has to go to JJ and the way he's implemented this offense early.
Yeah, it is. And tonight, I think this is kind of a no duh thing I'm going to say, but it is going to be strength on strength that decides this game. I think, if I'm Jamal Mosley, I'm telling the Magic, look, if you go out there and play your rear end off on defense, you put yourself in an opportunity, regardless of how bad you guys are shooting the three ball. The Magic, if you look at, I have this pulled up right here. This is 3-pointers. This is opponent 3-pointers made per game. So the teams that allow the least are in this order: Minnesota, Houston, and then Orlando. So Orlando is not giving up a lot of 3-pointers, in their games as a defense. They're really restrictive around the arc. That'll be something to really watch. I think if you see that early on, you're going to start saying, well, we're going to have a game on our hands. But it's just about if, how much they can do that and how long they can do that in the game, because they don't have an Orlando crowd at their back. They're in the Crypt, on the road doing this. So that's going to be the really key thing. And it's just, the Lakers, like you've said, they've just been able to outscore their opponents. This Magic team, they've held, prior to the Clippers game, like I said, they held their opponents to under 100 points. So I don't know. I think the Lakers could find themselves in trouble if, you're seeing a low point total heading into the fourth quarter or so, even if the Magic are losing, because then, you just kind of keep Orlando in the mix longer and longer. And that just starts to wear on you a little. But if the Lakers can get off to a rocking start and their offense looks fluid early on, I think you're feeling pretty good. So that's really going to be the key. And I think that the whole thing you said about, with the strength of the Lakers being their offense that's carried them, that's going to be put to the test, I think, a little tonight against this Magic defense that's been ranked first in the NBA for a good bit of this season. So we'll have to see how that goes. It's going to be strength on strength, and honestly, probably the biggest thing in this game heading into tonight.
Jamie, love you, man, my friend. But when I'm talking about more threes, I'm not talking about 10, 15 more threes a game. Just a little more, because right now the Lakers are making about 12 and a half a game. If they could just increase that by 2 or 3 more a game, I think that puts them in a much better light. That puts them into the top 10 in the NBA. And that's, again, for what you're getting out there. They're still doing transition. They're still getting the free throw line. Yeah, that just means that I think that they could go ahead and be a little bit better against teams that are upcoming, like the Bostons, like the Clevelands, like the other teams in the world that rely so heavily on the three. I just want to be a little bit more efficient with them. And now that you have Dalton there in the starting lineup, which, quite frankly, I still think he should stay at, I'm sorry to say. I think, that you're very deficient on the defensive end of the perimeter. I get that. I understand that. But I think Dalton is proving that you need to put out a rhythm shooter with that kind of explosiveness, Alfred, just for the simple fact that if teams are aware of him and he's out there, it opens up the lane even more for LeBron and for AD to find stuff underneath where AD is more efficient at shooting.
Yeah, it really does. And that's going to be the name of the game, I think, going forward against these good teams. Like you said, I'm just going to build off of it. I mean, I think that with how JJ Redick's philosophy is as far as more threes go, that can only help the offense open up even more. And I mean, we say that this team has scored the lights out of the basketball this season. So if you see it get even better than that, you're pretty happy if you're a Lakers fan. And I think that's kind of what you want to see. And maybe they do that tonight, because you're going to have to find a way to earn points against this Magic defense. That's, it's become the mantra of this organization since Jamal Mosley's gotten there, has been defense, gets you far. So I think that's gonna really come into effect tonight. And I think you have the tougher teams on the schedule going forward. I had it up briefly. You had the Suns coming up, the Spurs coming up, a road game in San Antonio. That's definitely not a gimme. And you're if you're gonna want to score inside, you're gonna meet Victor Wembanyama down there. So that's gonna be a challenge in and of itself. Yeah, so this is a good first test, because you're going up against arguably the best defense in the NBA to show how much that could work. So I think that'll also be the way to do it, is having Dalton Connect work his way around the perimeter for shots and seeing if that opens up opportunities underneath for LeBron, AD, or even other players on the floor for the Lakers.
So before we head on out, we still got about 15 minutes left. And once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Truly appreciate you joining us. Please follow him today on Twitter at Alfred Ezman. Almost 100 people watching right now. Nice big crowd. Truly, if you get a chance, please like and subscribe. If you're watching us on Facebook, salamat, and truly appreciate you doing so. Please give us a like and a follow on Facebook as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. We'll be on playback.tv, Sauce Lakers Fast Break, up in about 45 minutes with the Lakers and the Orlando Magic. If you're part of the 20 people that are there inside the game, I will get a VIP for you so you can watch what I watch right there on playback. First come, first serve on that. But if not, you'll still be part of the conversation as our simulcasts really get everybody going right there on YouTube, Facebook, and also playback.tv as well. But before we head on out, my friend, the Orlando Magic, I want to touch on their story a little bit more before we get into tonight's game one more time. Lakers and Magic, you've been so gracious about talking about what's going on around the league and also as well what's going on with tonight's game. Once again, for everybody out there on the latest update, Rui Hachimura is still out for tonight's game. Dalton Connect is still going to be a starter. JJ said he is contemplating and most likely leaning towards Dalton Connect coming off the bench once Rui gets back. I just want to let everybody know that's what his words were before the game today. Your thoughts, though, on the Magic? Again, finding offense has been a key for them going forward. What are some of the things that they're saying in the Magic operative as far as the chat boards, your commenters, your former fans that were following your work before covering the Orlando Magic? What are they saying about possible moves to get more offense with that defensive team?
Yeah, I think having Tristan da Silva out there in the starting lineup is a start. He's done that a few times, and we've seen a few games where he's really stepped up and been big. It's kind of having another version of a Franz Wagner type of player out there, and you've seen how Franz Wagner style of play has worked so far with this past week long stretch or 6 game stretch prior to the Clippers game of how they've been winning. It's been great, and they won games based off of that. So I think they'll look to get those two, playing there, look for the open shot beyond the arc, or if not, drive in and try to earn your way, getting to the line and getting to the line or scoring at the rim. So I think those two are going to have to be a big key heading into tonight. If you see good offense from those guys, you're going to be sitting pretty. And like I said, the 3-point shooting has been the worst in the NBA. So heading into tonight, you really are going to like to see Jalen Suggs. I think just taking a lot of 3-point shots. If he has a bad game doing it, so be it. But it's a guy who showed last year how improved he was shooting the three. And possibly you can get a big night out of him doing that. You don't have KCP, who, has not been great, but that was just another guy to look toward for 3-point shots. So Suggs, a lot of that's going to have to fall on Suggs. Anthony Black has been the point guard, taking the ball up and down the floor. His creation obviously is going to be key, but I think if you're him, if you're Mosley, you're also going to tell him, hey, look for your 3-point shots as well. And I think that's really the major keys. I mean, you're kind of going to have to find your mix of letting Franz Wagner go to work, letting Tristan da Silva go to work, driving into the lane, and finding good kick out options for Jalen Suggs and maybe even Anthony Black and, Gary Harris. We'll see if he can get on a heater as well. So that's going to be really the major points, I think, for this team. And then the other thing too, I think, the one guy who I've been impressed with too, especially with Wendell Carter not playing as much, Goga Batadze. I think he's been good, once he's gotten into position to score buckets when he needs to. So if you find him sitting down there, down low, get him going. I know him going up against Anthony Davis is just going to be a challenge on his part, to really stop him and score on him. But if you can find opportunities with him as well, do that. But you're gonna have to ask a lot out of Franz Wagner again, and that's really going to be the key. And I think a really big night from your Colorado rookie Tristan da Silva will be key as well.
He has struggled to find the stroke, and I think that's something that's surprising a lot of people because, again, he was somebody that coming out of college thought I watched him. He actually had a really good stroke. Someone I thought that could translate well, and obviously it's the first season, is rookie, whatnot. So he's going to need time to develop. Again, the same thing for Dalton. It could easily go the other way. Right now, it all looks great. And I think personally, I think it will continue to look great for Dalton going forward. I just see things like you talked about because you were so tuned into him at Tennessee. You could tell he was going to be someone that can make an imprint into this league. But Tristan, I thought that as well. What are your thoughts on what Tristan needs to do to refine his game and, could be starting tonight?
Yeah, I think since Paulo got hurt, this has been the biggest opportunity for minutes he's gotten. When Paulo was playing, he didn't see the floor all that much at all. I mean, he was just kind of, pushed back onto the bench, sort of like how Anthony Black and Jet Howard were, at the start of their rookie seasons a year ago. But now you're seeing him get more involved on the floor, and hopefully, he has an opportunity to kind of expand upon, stuff he's built. He's had a few games where he's been impressive to me. But I think, this is possibly his biggest opportunity to do so, being in the starting lineup and, having to be, I think, if he can realistically be the second scoring option tonight, not saying it'll happen, but I think there's a good chance of it based off how the offense will look heading into the game. And if you can do that, then I think you can find him having possibly a pretty good game. Having a good 3-point shot tonight will not only help, him, it'll help the Orlando Magic too. So maybe Jamal Mosley looks to him to do that. So I think this could be a big step up game for him, and hopefully it is, because if that happens, then I think Orlando finds themselves in a good position to win.
Once again, it is Alfred Ezman. Please go ahead and follow him today on the Twitter at Alfred Ezman right there. Just look at it, see his name in the left-hand corner right there. Just follow that, type that in, put an @ sign in front of it, and there you go. It's at Alfred Ezman on Twitter. So before we head on out, any last thoughts for tonight's game? And then, of course, you're going to do a cheap plug on what you're working on, hitting the baseball right there for you, and then also what you're posting on Twitter.
Yeah. So for the game tonight, yeah, I do, like, from an objective standpoint, find it hard for the Magic to come out on top just based on how the Lakers are undefeated at home, so far to start this year. And I think it's, that's going to be difficult. And I think you're coming on a back-to-back too, as opposed to the Lakers having a day of rest. So that's going to be difficult. I think it's just going to come down to strength on strength here. And if the Orlando Magic's defense can hold long enough in the game and hold this hot scoring Laker team in points, I think they can find themselves in a position to win. But if the Lakers just have been doing what they've been doing on offense, I think it'll be difficult. So it'll be difficult for the Magic to win. So I think that's going to be the key, just strength on strength. We'll see what strength comes out on top. And yeah, cheap plug wise, World Baseball Network, of course, I've been working with them. I don't know how in tune everyone is to international baseball, but the Premier 12 tournament has been happening over in Tokyo, Japan. We're covering that pretty extensively. We have crew members over there covering that event. I'm doing it back here in the United States, just doing social media stuff for it and whatnot. MLB awards have been given out. Rookie of the Year 2 nights ago, at Cy Young's last night, and MVPs tonight. I've been doing social media work for that as well. And this team is going through some troubles finding a home in the future. So I've been deep covering that as well. So if you guys want to, get sort of baseball coverage, in every regard, head over to World Baseball Network to look that up. worldbaseball.com is the address. Not that hard. And that's really what I've been doing, but I'm going to do a little bit more work on that tonight while having the game on the other screen. And I think I'll see you guys after for the post game for a little bit.
Absolutely. Just wanted to let you know and update you, Alfred. The Steelers are losing right now. So don't expect Joe to be in a good mood if they lose tonight. I just wanted to warn you. You still feel like coming? Still feel like going on?
Yeah, I'll be going on. That's a rivalry game with the Browns, so I expect him to be a little perturbed if they don't come out on top in that one.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm good,
Fair
yeah.
enough, my friend. All right. But it is, of course, the Lakers and the Magic. It is, of course, tonight on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Join us there. Jamie says, wait, Joe can be in a good mood? Yeah, when the Dodgers win the World Series, when the Steelers win, when the Lakers win. When Dalton Connects hit for 37 points, yeah, he gets in a good mood. He was actually in a good mood last time around. So, yes, definitely looking forward to seeing if he can stay in a good mood. If the Lakers go ahead and win tonight, but they are facing off against the tough Orlando Magic, 9-7, still fourth place in the Western Conference, one of the top defenses in the league, face off against one of the top offenses in the league in the Los Angeles Lakers. So before we head on out, my friend, any last observations you want to make about the NBA, about the Lakers? Because we don't get you often here enough. And, I guess you're a good luck charm because we had over 100 people on the chat tonight as far as watching. So with these kind of ratings, I may have to go ahead and see what we can do to get you on more often, my friend.
Yeah, I might have to come on more often after that. It must feel like 09 over here on the Lakers Fast Break with this matchup tonight. Hopefully it stays that way because that means our finals coverage, if it comes down to it by some miracle, would be off the charts with these two teams.
Can you still believe we still get the we need Dwight Howard posts every now and then in our chat?
Still?
Yes.
Goodness.
Even after a week after he got eliminated at Dancing with the Stars.
Right. I was barely in middle school when the Lakers had him, regardless of the Magic having him. That's crazy. If you guys say that in this chat, you're crazy. But I wish we had the Magic version of him back. But observation wise, really for the Western Conference, again, like I said earlier, it's just been a mix of teams you don't expect to be at the top being at the top right now. And if they can continue that, it'll make it all the more interesting because you best believe teams like the Mavs, who are way down there, and even the Nuggets are going to storm their way back up to the top of the rankings with the Warriors, Thunder, and Lakers. So it just makes it that much more deep. We'll see, where the Magic find themselves in the mix as time goes on in this East. Getting Capala Banchero back obviously will help.
Yes.
But as of right now, it seems like it's the Celtics and Cavs conference to lose, with the Magic and Knicks sort of nipping at their heels as the other two teams back from them. So we'll see how that works out, as time goes on. But yeah, I think that's really the main thing. I think it's very clear, as it got like last year, as it got down the stretch, how just tougher the West is than the East. So the West is definitely the conference to watch. And yeah, I think if you're a Lakers fan, you're loving life right now, and hopefully that continues, with how they've been playing. Hopefully it continues tonight for you guys. But I'm excited to see if the Magic can bring wicked good defense and if they can really put up a good fight with this team on the road.
You've been watching Dalton Connect all the way back to when he was at Tennessee. You talked about him ahead of everyone else here from the Lakers forefront because you saw him on a regular basis when you were covering Tennessee basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain why you were already on the Dalton Connect train, before any Lakers fans were really familiar with his game?
Yeah, well, he took Tennessee people by storm because, he came out of Northern Colorado in the transfer portal, and it was a really good mid-major player to get. He was whatever conference Northern Colorado is in. He was their conference player of the year prior to coming to Tennessee. And when you saw him get to Tennessee and have these big explosive 30-point games that he would have, it was, like, not to say the NBA is all the way like this, but it was like he was playing in an NBA game with the sort of isolation ball he was playing at times. And Tennessee's offense really just ran through him, despite him not having any experience, in the program. In a program where, if it's Tennessee basketball, you have guys coming back years on years on years, and you don't have a lot of Tennessee basketball players in the NBA who stand out. Obviously, Dalton Connect is the exception right now. But prior to that, it was, a Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson, or Grant Williams. So no one really kind of popped off the page as far as NBA players go, from Tennessee. And he's really been the exception. And I think it's just because of the offensive bag he can have. And when I would see he'd have games like that, I'm like, okay, if he adjusts himself well and keeps that confidence heading into the league, like I know he can, watch out. And so far, we've seen that over the past few games with him. So hopefully that continues. Again, don't expect 37 points from him on a regular basis. It won't be anything like that. He shouldn't be the Lakers' number one scorer either at this point. You have LeBron and AD, so get the ball to them first, if need be. But it's been nice to – I think the Lakers can say that they have a pretty reliable scoring option beyond their two superstars, and that's what he's brought. And I think having games where the isolation was working at Tennessee made me go, oh, hey, that can work in the NBA. So that's really why I've been so high on it.
Just to let you know, Jackson Hayes probably out another week longer from what was the estimated time frame last time we got any word on Jackson Hayes. Rui is out tonight. No Rui Hachimura in the lineup. That's why Dalton Connect is starting, according to JJ Redick. When Rui comes back, it's the old veteran takes his old spot, doesn't lose it because of injury. We'll see and have that argument discussion if that takes place and Dalton has to go back to the bench. We'll see how that works out. But yes, there is no Jackson Hayes, I think, for another week or so. But we'll give you updates as soon as we get it. We retweet it out at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. And then obviously the first show we bring up where that news comes available, we will go ahead and put it right here on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. So Alfred, it's been great having you here at the World Baseball Network, covering the B-ball right there for you in a different fashion, covering Ohtani, and also as well, of course, Aaron Judge walking off for the big awards tonight. But the big award and the big victory for the Lakers will be hopefully against the Magic, and you can watch it with us right there, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Again, I have 20 VIPs, first come, first serve. Whoever gets them, there you go. If it alternates, somebody leaves, somebody else comes in, I can go ahead and switch it out. There you go. But you always be able to hear the chat, which is always interesting, and also as well everything that we're doing in regards to the game itself on playback, and also as well YouTube and Facebook. And don't forget, we have our awesome Lakers post game coming up right after the game. And then, of course, Joe Soro with his nightcap as well. So there you go. NBA observations with Alfred Ezman, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching this thing. We'll see you in just about half an hour on Playback, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, YouTube, Facebook, and then, of course, the post game tonight. For the Lakers and Magic, hope everybody join us tonight for Lakers and Magic basketball right here on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate the huge crowd following us tonight and watching. Much love, respect, be safe, and go Lakers.